Hi guys, welcome back to another video in this series. Today we're going to continue with our portfolio review, the last portfolio review of the year, or at least the last part of it. So yeah, I'm wearing this nice festive outfit because I'm going to a Christmas party after this and everyone's getting dressed. It's kind of like a pajama party kind of thing. So yeah, being festive and everything. So yeah, let's go guys. Let's continue with our list right here. So yesterday I believe the last one that we reviewed was Aaron Felipe. And we're gonna go with Gunjan Mandal. So, Gunjan, you are the first one. Hi, I am Gunjan Mandal. Nice to meet you, my friend. Hope you like my portfolio. I love everyone's portfolio. Cool. Okay, nice. You're from Delhi, India. Nice. I would love to visit the India someday. Okay. Okay, this is a nice model. It definitely seems like you were learning still because textures could get a little bit more work. The low poly doesn't look that bad. However, like this sort of thing, when we do modeling, especially when we do hard surface modeling, it's very important that our edges and our borders are sharp. That's one of the things that's gonna make hard surface look cool. Okay, so be very careful when you're doing this. Make sure you have enough support edges. Make sure that your silhouette is as clean as possible. And one of the cool things about I'm not sure if you took if you created this or if you if you reference a concept art, but you're mixing a couple of things here. For instance, like this thing right here, I've seen some rifles that use that sort of thing to reload or something. But then you're using like a revolver chamber, and then the trigger, like it doesn't seem like the trigger could go forward. So that's the kind of thing that you also need to take into consideration. Let's call it the mechanics of things. So one thing that I like to do, and I think I do have Maya open. Yeah. Say hi to Arlo. He's one of our characters for a VR experience that we'll be building over here. So when you're working, let's say we're doing a trigger, right? So I'm just gonna do something very messy. Mesh tools, create polygon, and let's say I do like the casing for my trigger, right? There we go. So that's my casing, and then I do my trigger, and the trigger is gonna be like similar to what you have, something like that. Okay. So the problem is this guy right here, if the pivot point was over here and I were to rotate this trigger, it would like very weirdly slide around the object. So we need to position this thing and we need to position the trigger in such a way that it makes sense, right? Like when we move this, it actually makes sense that this thing is triggering the gun. And right now there's several parts of this gun's design that don't seem to be working as well as they could. Okay, but it's a good model. It's a good practice. Let's go. Lightsabers. Everyone does a lightsaber at one point in their careers. I can definitely tell that this is your own invention, which is cool. I like that. I like that you're going and trying to do your own stuff. But again, always try to reference what is being done in the real world, right? So if we look for lightsaber costume concepts, right? Like so that we don't reference any of the original ones, you're gonna see that there's sort of like certain things that people put in their designs, and one thing that I don't see in any of these designs is this square shape. Like having a square shape kind of takes away from this like elegant round shape that you usually would have, right? So yeah, just be careful with that. And that's the thing. It's not the same thing to be a 3D modeler than to be a 3D designer, because when you design you need to take other things into consideration. When you model, you just follow the concept and follow the drawing, and that's it, right? Also, I know that this is sort of like a cushion texture. It looks a little bit weird. Again, reference what they have. Like when they use leather, it's a little bit more like leathery rather than like a I don't know, I'm not sure how to pronounce or how to say that specific like finish that like furniture has, where you get this sort of effect. But yeah, now for this one, I'm gonna show you a very quick trick here. Let me open Photoshop. Glow is always super good because it lets you like show that this thing is actually emitting light. You could do glow, and I think you are doing glow, but sometimes you don't get this sort of like glow effect, right? Like the hazy atmosphere, because there's no atmosphere. So to very quickly fix this in post, as we like to say, you're just gonna come on Photoshop, Control N. My God, there we go. So you're just gonna get this here, create a new layer, go into your brush option, right click to select a soft brush like this one. Select the same color of your object, create like a slightly bigger element, and just draw a line on top of it. And then on the blending modes, change this to linear dodge. Boom. So linear dodge is like the magic thing here, because as you can see, the white or like the brightest elements on the object will remain there, and you'll get this sort of like glow effect. And you can of course like lower the opacity if you don't want to have as much glow, or you can even go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and smooth it out a little bit, right? So it's not as intense, because depending on how much atmosphere and fog there is on the scene, that will be how much glow you actually see. Okay, but yeah, having a little bit of that glow would be very, very nice. Also, I've seen this in the movies. You usually see the core of the lightsaber as perfectly white. So I would be inclined to like add a perfectly white line. See how that makes it look like super bright? We still have the blue, we're not losing the blue, but light, as it gets more intense, it gets whiter, right? So you're not gonna have like a super bright element which is pure color. So just keep that in mind. Small little advice over there. That's a nice practice. Definitely need to keep practicing your anatomy. Nails, especially like this one right here, they need to be inside of the finger, not just overlaid like that. Careful with the knuckles. Also, this pinky finger is usually way down here. Okay, so there's a couple of things to fix there on the anatomy. I like this character. I mean, I always like when students do a full project, because as I've mentioned yesterday, doing a full project teaches you how to do things, and then you can keep on improving, right? So things that I would keep improving. You need to work on the hair system. I'm not sure if it's hair cards. It kind of looked like it's hair cards. You need to add a little bit more breakup, because, no, it's fibers. It's fibers, right? Is it fiber mesh or is it X-Gen? Kind of looks like X-Gen or something. Yeah, just soften them up, because the hairstyle looks a little bit weird. A little bit more texture work on the character might be good. If you're going for a stylized character with this little girl right here, I could recommend our Soldier, the stylized Soldier course, which goes through the whole production pipeline. And in the texturing part, we do talk about how to texture like a nice cartoonish-like skin, like in Fortnite. Sid! I love this guy. He's super funny. Topology is good. Like I definitely can tell that you know what you're doing. Proportions still need a little bit of work, and hair, of course. Like if you're not gonna be adding a hair system to make him feel fussy, maybe hair texture might not be a bad idea, because I can see that your UVs are not bad, and yeah, like your topology for animation that's gonna work. But we definitely need to check the proportions, because again, Sid Ice Age. If you take a look at Sid's head, it's like a rhomboid, right? So see how far apart the eyes are and how big the nose is? And in this one, the nose is really small. The eyes are far apart, but they're higher. And you can see here that they're pretty much in the same line. So that's the kind of thing that you need to like really analyze when you're copying a concept, to make sure that you match the element perfectly. This one, I can definitely see some improvement. Like the skin looks a lot better. The eyes still look a little bit unrealistic. On the latest Marmoset course, I did a tutorial on how to do eyes. I believe we also have that one. No, I think only on that one. I think I only mentioned that procedure in that specific tutorial. But there is a process that you can do so that the eyes look a little bit more realistic. So yeah, check that one out. It might be helpful for you. The hair looks way better. Like the hair cards look a lot nicer. Yeah, the proportion is very good as well. That's a great topology. So I can see the improvement. This was 4 months ago, and the other little girl that you did this one, this was 8 months ago. So 4 months of improvement from this to this. That's a great. That shows potential, and potential is one of those things that a lot of people have. But as long as you need to use it. Not everyone, right? But there's a lot of people that have potential, but there's a lot of people that don't use that potential. It seems like you are using it, so just keep pushing forward, my friend, and I can guarantee you're gonna get to a very nice place. Jean or John, Kevin. Hi, my name is Jay Kevin. This is my current work. Okay, I'm starting to create a portfolio to become a 3D character artist. Great. I have studied fine arts and I want to get into the video game industry. I also make illustrations and 2D digital art. I would like to know what you think of it. Of course, Mustache Knight. That's your alias. Oh, you're from Valencia, España. Muy bien. This is great, man. This is very cool. I like it. I really like it. I'm seeing a lot of very common techniques inside of Zbrush. Like it kind of seems like poly loops and extraction, curve brushes, stitching. It's really good. The proportions on the face are really good as well. Yeah, the armor looks great. I think the boots look a little bit weird, and boots and feet are one of my weak points as well. Like it's sort of the things that you don't like to do because they're so boring, or they tend to be very boring. So they look a little bit like loaves of bread. I would probably harden them a little bit, like make sure that they follow sort of like the same pattern everywhere. But yeah, that's a nice sculpture, nice detail. Were you able to texture it? Yes, you did. Perfect. Okay, you did texture it. However, I'm a little bit curious because you had some very nice detail over here, and you don't have it over here. Did you struggle with the bakes? It's a common thing, and sometimes when we struggle with that sort of thing, sometimes we just like get rid of it to in order not to have such a hard time. Yeah, like this kind of thing, it looks great, right? Like I think like this ones right here, you could have catched them with a normal map. Like you don't need to create or like loop every single stitch just by going over them, like roughly over them. That should be good. This one though, you might have needed like let's go into Photoshop again. So imagine a cross section of that thing. So you have the armor, and then you have that sort of like a rope braided thing. So your low poly would have to go like this, right? So you do need to catch this silhouette because it's a very heavy silhouette. For the stitching, imagine this is like the armor of the stitching, and then you have the stitching over here. It's not necessary. Your low poly can just go like normally over it, and it will project the detail on your object. But yeah, like because again, it looks nice here. It looks like a very nice like metal work. And then we missed it on the texture file. But the texture is really good. Were you following a tutorial or were you Elisheva? Modelo de bajos polígonos renderizado en Marmoset Toolbar 4. Estoy tratando de sorry for the guys that don't speak Spanish. This is only for only for my friend here, Mustache Knight. Estoy tratando de no imitar el acento español que me resulta muy divertido, pero no me sale para nada. Estamos viendo La Casa de Papel y es muy divertido, muy divertido. Okay, so yeah, that's a great project, man. Great project. Okay, you did this. You actually created this concept arts. That's great. Like if you can create a concept art and then make it into a character, you are worth your like weight in gold, my friend, because there's a lot of indie studio houses that are looking for someone that can create stuff and do that stuff. I myself am not super well versed in the like drawing stages of the thing, but I can do like conceptualization and design, like general design. I never get all the way up to this point. But I've had some clients that they say, hey, I need this kind of character, and then I just shoot or send a lot of reference images, and then I mix and match from all of them. So it looks like this is very similar to the one that you did. So that's great. Mistborn Vin concept art, Mistborn book series. Okay, yeah. I mean your concept art is good, man. A little bit of anatomy there, just small things. Same thing here. One advice that a concept artist teacher of ours gave us when we were studying concept art is if you're not gonna finish or polish everything to perfection, like here the hands, right? Keep them loose, like just like a blob of pink. But don't try to do this because then it seems like you were trying to draw them, but you didn't know how to. And I see your face, I see your detail, and I know that you know how to draw and paint. So it was probably just like lack of time or interest at the very end, which is completely normal. Just keep them like a little bit loose, a little bit like an impressionist paint, right? Yeah, man. I mean, this is great. Like this guy right here or this girl right here, she's great. Do we have a Marmoset viewer? Okay, this is what I want to see, the topology. Okay, topology is good amount. 150k triangles, that's great. Yeah. Couple of maps. Yeah, just like this thing that I mentioned, like maybe giving a little bit more love to the whole thing. The pose, I don't love the pose. It's not a deal breaker for me. Like if I was looking for character artists and I saw this one, I would definitely hire you. Like you have everything that I need from someone who's gonna do characters. But yeah, like the posing here, like the elbow's a little bit like off to the side, and then the hand here looks a little bit. Actually, that one's kind of fine. So, but that's just me nitpicking. Like this is great, man. Do a couple more of this, and you're gonna be great. So, yep, that's amazing. Very well. That was Giancarlo Penton. Are you from Italy, my friend? Hello, Abraham. My name is Giancarlo, and I am currently a junior at my university studying game design. I specialize in character art. I want to get your opinion on my portfolio, so if there's anything I should improve. I started applying to internships and associate jobs, so any advice will be helpful. Putting your name out there, that's one of the best things you can do. There's a lot of fear in sending your resume because of rejection, which is very common, very understandable. Okay, you're from Orlando. Giancarlo is a very Italian name, so sorry if I'm mistaking there. So, good speed sculpt. Again, speed sculpts are not the kind of thing that I would normally add into my portfolio unless it was like a really good one. Because yeah, like this is the concept art, and we are not like there yet because we're missing the body and everything. So if you like this creature, finish it. Even if it's just a sculpt, finish it so that people know that you can sculpt, and that will be a really nice piece. Sheriff, No Mercy. This looks a little bit cartoonish. It kind of looks like Five Nights at Freddy's kind of thing. I'm not sure if that's the general style. Do we have a concept as well? Okay, we do have a concept. Okay, interesting concept. Yeah, so I think we went a little bit too noisy on the cloth. Like, see how there's no defined like wrinkles and flow of the cloth. It just looks like crumpled. And in here, there's very clean lines, which tends to be something that we do when we're learning the clothing system. So yeah, just try to simplify the forms. That would be my advice for cloth. So when you're taking a look at cloth here, let me see how we're gonna have compression, which is where the cloth kind of like bunches up together, and then we're gonna have tension, and then again compression. And these are tension lines as well. And then yes, we're gonna have the nice wrinkles here, but see how we have a lot of like flat spaces, like really flat spaces where the cloth just stretches over the body. Those are really important. Same for the boots, like here. See, compression and then flat. Flat, a little bit of a wrinkle there, flat. So that sort of like angle shape is very important in this concept. So we definitely need to keep that into consideration. I applaud that you did the whole character. I do think that the bullets are a little bit wonky as well. But yeah, any particular reason why you decided to do the hands like this? Because in case you did, that's not usually the most common way to like pose characters. T-pose or V-pose are the most common. I'm not saying you can't do it like this. The Witcher 3 game was very famous for doing it this way, but that's because they had their internal rigging system set up in a specific way that needed this sort of thing. So I'm not sure if that's the best thing for your portfolio. This is a great piece. I like it. Super dark, super moody. For the Grassetti Underworld contest. Oh, I didn't know there was a contest. Should have applied. That's nice. I like it. The hair looks great. Is it hair cards or hair system? Kind of looks like hair cards, right? Looks good. Just a good one. Yeah. Mr. Molotov. Okay. Real-time character from a concept by Gintas Galbanauskas. This is my first time creating game-ready character going through the full production pipeline. I'm extremely grateful having been mentored by Nicholas Hunter throughout the project. I will learn very much from doing Mr. Molotov and can wait to implement them into future projects. Okay, let's see. So again, one of the great things about doing a full project is that it's a full project. You learned everything, right? Like you were able to learn about anatomy, proportions, cloth, textures, UV, bakes, posing, lighting, like everything. I think the skin is a little bit too shiny, too plasticky, so maybe breaking up that gloss a little bit more would be helpful. I like the mustache and the eyebrows. They look good. The eyes look really good as well. The subsurface is okay, but yeah, see how it looks very waxy, very plasticky. That's because of the glossiness. It's very constant. It's plastic throughout. It's like if he was sweating or something. It looks a little bit weird. But I like the change in textures. That's really great. This patch, oh, that one looks great. That's nice. It's a plain, right, with transparency, because that looks great. The bottom, yeah, everything looks good, man. Proportion-wise, I think he's proportionate enough. I think we're good. I do think we still need to practice what I just mentioned with the cloth, because that could be one of the weak points. Now, there's two advices that I can give for cloths. Just do a couple of oh, okay. So this is important. I just noticed this one. Whenever you're doing clots, it's not uncommon to add a lot of triangles in these areas to properly catch the silhouette changes that the clot gives. Because if you have a very interesting sculpt with a lot of breaks and folds and stuff, and then you just add or create a cylinder that catches all of that information, then we're gonna get this sort of, I call it the meatball effect, where it just looks like a texture applied to a round like thing, right? Like a meatball, like a chewing gum thing. So it's totally okay to go in here. Try to look for making of the games, like Alloy, Horizon Zero Dawn. Let's see if we don't get any, like, not safe for word stuff, because people are crazy, my friends. There we go. So see how this is the high poly? And if you dig enough in the internet webs, you could find the original model that they use for the game, and you're gonna see that there's all of these folds, they're actually geometry. Like, they would add like a couple of triangles and edge loops on the big folds, so that when you see the character in the game, see here, look at that handkerchief, right, around her neck. Look at this. See how there's like the silhouette over there? That's the kind of thing that we need to do on our clothing, so that it doesn't look flat. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Sculpt better cloth and do a better retopology on those areas, and you're gonna be ready to go, my friend. Great job. That was Giancarlo Penton. Let's go with Vimal Hari from India. Note. Hi, sir. Hope you're doing great. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm great. Thanks for doing this for the photo reviews. They help a lot, and I learned so much from them. Love to hear your feedback on my work, which I'm doing for the last couple of months. Okay? Yeah, of course. Models. Whoa, a lot of models. Okay, just a quick note about the portfolio reviews. Remember that portfolio reviews are really useful, not only for the people that are being reviewed, but for everyone else. I remember when I was at school, one of the things that I looked forward to the most was when finals came around and everyone was presenting their finals. Because not only were you gonna be given feedback on your own work, you would see the screw ups of your classmates, and then you would keep that on your memory, like, okay, I'm not gonna screw that up if I ever come into something like that. And then you would see what great things they did, and you'll be like, I'm gonna do that on my next project. So sometimes we as artists tend to be a little bit selfish, and we try to be perfect on our own without like getting support from everyone else. And this is a team game, especially on a production such as a video game or a movie. You're not gonna do a movie or a video game by yourself. Of course you could, but the greatest films and video games out there were made by a lot of people. So you need to understand that you need to bring your strengths into the team, and the strengths of the rest of the members of the teams are going to push you or pull you all the way to the top so that you can keep improving, okay? So just be a team player. That's important. Okay, displacement looks great. The model looks okay. A little bit low polish. Leshen. Okay, it's from The Witcher, right? I mean, it looks a little bit jarring just because we don't have any texture on the skull, and we do have texture on the ground, and the ground looks very realistic, and the horns do not. So just keep that in mind. This one's great. I like it. Really like it. Yeah, it's great. Is it displacement? Is it displaced? No, it's low poly. That's great. Cool. Okay. Cloth could do a little bit more work and texture. The anatomy looks fine. We will need to know if this was done with a base mesh or if you started from scratch. I'm a little bit inclined to believe that this was a base mesh due to the position of the arms and everything else. But you can let me know in the comments. If you did it from scratch, then congratulations, your proportions are really good. However, we do need to define the muscles and the anatomy a little bit better. Hands look a little bit deaf, like very stiff. There's detail on the face that's missing, like main wrinkles and stuff, main like bony protrusions. The beard looks great. A little bit of breakup on this area might be good. It kind of looks like action, I think. So yeah, just work a little bit on that one. That's a nice one as well. Okay. Yeah, that one's good. Cool. Sci-fi car. Nice. The thread on the wheels looks a little bit too simple for like so much complexity up here. I really like the net. That's very cool. Decals seem to be a little bit too much. Like I see a lot of decals. Remember, sometimes less is more, so you don't need to have like decals everywhere, or maybe play around with the size of the decals so that they're not super intense. But it looks good. Ooh, this looks very good. It's a nice one. Nice architectural rendering. These things, guys, by the way, I hate them. Well, I don't hate them, but it's a lot of people, when I say I do 3D, this is the first thing they ask, like, oh, you do renders for like houses and buildings and stuff. I'm like, no, not that kind of 3D. These things are paid really well, like really well. There's a lot of money in construction and architecture. So if you ever get jobs doing this sort of stuff, my best advice is do it. do them, because as you can see, it's not that difficult to get a nice result, a nice looking result, and there's a lot of money in the architecture industry. Um, that's another like small parenthesis. Don't, even if you guys want to be like 3D artists for video games or for film or whatever, keep your mind open, because there's a lot of opportunities out there, and sometimes if you just focus on one thing, you miss like big opportunities that could later on support the main goal that you have. You know what I mean? So, for instance, when I started my 3D career, I would say about 60 to 70% of my income was teaching. And after I started teaching and my students started graduating and going into companies, they started calling me back because they needed some help with projects. And then my workload started like shifting. Now it's about the 50-50. So 50% of my income comes from projects and the other 50% comes from teaching. But I wouldn't been able to get to that point unless I would have said, okay, let's do a couple of years of teaching and then we'll jump into the industry, right? So there's a lot of different ways. That was my personal experience. There's gonna be a lot of different experiences for you guys. So Nielsen House, is this from the show Dark from Netflix? It kind of looks like it. If it is, nice. It looks great. And if you guys haven't watched that show, Dark, amazing show, guys. Amazing. One of the best time traveling shows I've ever seen. ATT, very good. Texture this guy. Topology is great. Texture it. Yeah, topology looks good. Just texture it. Okay, a little bit more simple. I like the house a little bit better. The lighting looks a little bit flat in this one. That would be my. Oh, that's nice. Texture it. Texture it. You have great models. It's time to texture, to learn some texturing. Substance Painter, UDIMs. You're gonna use UDIMs for this one because otherwise the texture resolution is gonna be super, super low. Nice car. Is that like a Mustang, right? Okay, this is the little tank. Very low poly. You actually went really low poly. Now I see why the wheels are so low poly. Okay, so if this is for a game and it's supposed to be low poly like this, then I understand the silhouette now. Nice. This is what, like a biking hall or something. Careful with the denoiser and the light bounces. Whenever you're doing interior scenes, that's one of the caveats, that if you're gonna do like just indirect lighting coming from the windows and just bouncing around, you're gonna need a lot of samples and it's gonna take a long time. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Don't be impatient, because otherwise you're gonna get this sort of like splotchy look everywhere, and it makes it look a little bit dirty. And that's it. Okay, perfect, man. Perfect, my friend. Vimal, that looks very good. I think your next step is texturing. You definitely need to jump into texturing. I know that you already know a little bit of it, because otherwise you wouldn't been able to do this sort of like textures on the character. So grab a project. If I could recommend something, I'll probably go with this one, because I think hard surface texturing is a little bit easier sometimes, or even like the biking ship. This one right here. These are great projects to texture, and you can show your skills with those. So congratulations. Now let's go with Sid Hunt, J. Sid Hunt. Hello, Abraham. Hope you're doing good. I want to get your opinion on my latest work. Modeling in Maya, texturing in Substance, render in Unreal. Let's take a look. Okay, nice, nice. I'm kind of analyzing the scene. Okay, this looks way better. This shot right here, I understand why you added it, because it's the back part of the thing, but this is your main shot, right? So, to be honest, I would just remove this one. Like, unless you're doing like a 360 thing, just show this one. This one's great. I like it. There's a lot of story in here, like the little eye over there, the dead tree. There's a lot of models. The texturing looks good. Modeling is a bit basic. If I may say something that you could work a little bit more on, it would be modeling. It looks a little bit too blocky. Like these things right here, I can understand that they're like concrete walls, but they just look like squares, like cubes. Nicely textured cubes, but just like cubes, right? So try to add a little bit more complexity in your models, because you definitely know how to do your textures. Now, these guys right here, they seem to be missing a material. It looks like Lambert, especially since this thing is rusted. I would expect to see a little bit of rust on top of them. But yeah, that's a nice one, man. I see that you have the... Oh, you do have the marmoset view. Okay, let's see. It's a little bit big. That's fine. Fast internet. Always good. That's why when I record on my in-laws, I have a little bit of a hard time, because their internet is it's not as good. They don't need as much as I do, right? So let's see. Let's see what we have here. Cool. See, I actually like this lighting a little bit better. That's another thing that I was gonna mention. Like this sky that you added at the back, not ideal. I would go for something a little bit more simpler. And I think I've mentioned this on yesterday's review. Like, if you don't know how to properly like integrate image environments in a composition, you should err for the side of this sort of thing, like a diorama. So yeah, let's go into the topology and let's confirm my suspicious. Yeah. So as you can see, these are just like cubes, right? Even the cones, super simple cones. So you could go a little bit more complex. And I can see that you know how to do it. Like this is a sort of a complex shape. This like little fan right there, that's a complex shape. So I know that you're optimizing and doing things in the right way. It's just a matter of don't like that last 10% of polishing and creating the last little bits. That's one of the parts that we struggle a lot with. Because we're just tired of the project, right? We just want to finish, but this kind of thing like takes away from everything. Your textures are great, man. Like this is great. But see here, like I immediately, by going into the textures, I immediately can see which things are textures. Oh no, sorry, that's reflectivity. Where's the albedo? There we go. So yeah, see how there's almost no textures. Very, very light over there. So be careful with that. That's why this sort of like channel maps are super important, because they allow us to see how things are behaving. Normals look good. Like everything in the normal map looks good. Roughness, let's take a look. Or glossiness, that's good as well. Like there should be a little bit of glossiness variation everywhere. Like you shouldn't have any sort of like flat color or anything. And yeah, great job, my friend. Great job. And last but not least, Mr. Connor Jenkins, who submitted yesterday at the last minute. Hey Nexttut, I'm Connor, year 2 college student getting ready for university, and feedback is appreciated. Keep up the great videos, they're immensely helpful. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for appreciating our videos. Let's take a look. You're from Watford, the United Kingdom, another place that I would love to visit. Okay, let's go. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're okay. Nice model. Textures could have a little bit more work, but this was done. Okay, this was posted 18 days ago. We would need to know whether this was done 18 days ago. I don't think so, right? Because it seems like you posted everything on a single session. Careful with this. Textures looking a little bit too intense on the normal map over there. I would advise against this sort of stuff. I know it is funny, but it does kind of could look immature. I'm not saying you're immature. I'm just saying that this sort of like transition could make it look a little bit immature. It's meme-ish, right? So it's like a meme. Share this on your Facebook, Instagram, or your social medias, but not on your portfolio. I would take this one out, because this one's not bad. Like this is a nice model. It does look a little bit too low polish, especially like these things right here, these details. I think you could go a little bit higher. Careful with this, guys, as well. Typography is one of those things that a lot of people, me included, I used to do this a lot when I was a student. We kind of want to give more a better sense of presentation by using like typography that has to do with the model and the time and stuff. Not necessary. Just a small little name over here, Royal Canon, made by Connor Jenkins. That should be more than enough. Because if you don't do it properly, it will detract from your object, and if you do it properly, it might also detract from your object. So that's why we tend not to do it. Nice model. The model looks good. Careful with the wood grain. This one looks good. This one looks a little bit weird. We would need to see on the reference if this thing is supposed to go this way or the other way around. But everything else looks good. I like this one. See, another thing, because I understand what you're doing this, because a lot of new games have this sort of like meme guns as well. So if you're thinking about, oh, I'm gonna pitch this to like a Call of Duty or to like a Fortnite, and I can show that I can do like variation on textures, that's fine. Just remove this. Just remove the way you're presenting this. Keep the image and just say color variation nerf style. That's it, and then do like color variation camo style, and that way people know that you can also create like variations for your texture, because the texture looks good. The Canon, I think it looked a little bit weird. But this one right here looks really good. Like if I wanted to have like a meme gun on my Call of Duty game, this would be great. But yeah, the presentation here not ideal. Again, it kind of removes a little bit of seriousness. That's all I mean to say. This is great. I've never done one of this, guys. Very complex, right? A lot of buttons and knobs and stuff. This is great. It looks great, man. Nice model. Again, are they in the concept? If they are, fine. If they're not, maybe 2 of them is not necessary. Sometimes less is more. That's the saying. Sapphire, ruby, butterfly knife, gem collection, ruby, emerald, sapphire. Nerf again. Okay, that's cool. It's cool. I understand. It kind of looks like Counter-Strike sort of thing, which is fine. Again, typography, careful with that one. And I'm just saying this because I've been told this by some recruiters. They're like, oh, so we saw your work. And they were like, why did you choose that like font? And I was like, oh, I liked it. It looks ugly. And I was like, oh, sorry. So, yeah, people do notice it. Like this sort of effects as well. Not ideal. This model is actually not that great either, my friend. I think this model could use a little bit more work because it's very, very blocky. Very low poly. This is what I would expect to see on a cell phone game nowadays. So I might take this one away or out of your portfolio because all of this that we've reviewed, they're good. This one, not that good. This one's good. I like it. Nice detail on the borders, on the metal edge wear. Ooh, this is great. See, this is what I mean. Maybe not the fonts. Again, that's just personal preference. Maybe not the fonts, but having this, that's great because it shows that you know how to create like variations, and variations are really important. Stagecoach. Careful with your low polys. Nowadays, we don't do this anymore. Like this was to be the way to optimize things before, but nowadays we go a little bit higher on the poly counts because we are allowed to do that because the engines and everything are a little bit more powerful. So don't go that low. The textures are great. Just up your topology or your elements a little bit higher. Texture work is great, man. Congratulations. Did you do this? It's kind of cool. See, this I don't mind. This I find it cool. If this is the model that you're using and you just like did it like a black and white to sort of like show how it would look on a menu or something, that I can understand and I can approve. The other ones, not so much. But yeah, there you go, my friend Connor. Congratulations, that's a good portfolio. Keep on working. Your school years are gonna be the years that you're gonna be using to learn the most because all of your time or most of your time is gonna be focused on learning. So make the best out of it. When I was a student, I did 3 years in Los Angeles. And when I was a student, I used to work 10 hours a day every single day, Saturdays and Sundays as well. Like every single day, I would go to the school and be there for 10 hours, at least, sometimes even more, for 3 years. So you guys have probably heard about the 10,000 hours, right? So if I did 10 hours, 360 days, well, probably not 360, let's say 10 hours, 300 days. Maybe there were a couple of days throughout the year that I traveled or something. So 10 hours, 300 days, that's 3,000. So in 3 years, I was getting close to my, or to the goal of being a master, right? Or they say you become a master. You don't really become a master at 10,000 hours. You're very proficient at your job at 10,000 hours. So just keep on pushing, keep on working, keep on learning, and your guys are gonna do great. Thank you everyone for this portfolio review. This is, I believe, portfolio review number 10. And this series has been great. Everyone seems to love it here on the channel. So make sure to leave a like, share, subscribe, and be on the lookout because tomorrow we start with our Christmas week. So I know some of you might not celebrate Christmas. I do. We're not going to be talking about religion or anything. We're just going to make it a fun time. And we're going to do something cool. I think you guys are going to like it. So yeah, hang on tight. And I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye-bye.